she found science abhorrent. Why would I need to know any of that? That I could be ascribing things to her that I shouldn't.
Well, she's apparently quite good at it now.
Mhm.
Ah, there we are. Good. So, well, I'm interviewing my Aunt Lorraine. This is Beatrice McKenzie. It's May 1st, 2011, and I'm interviewing Lorraine Dix. And I guess my questions are a little bit formal, but also familiar. And if there's ever one you don't want to answer, we'll just skip that one. We'll go to another one. So I wonder if we could start by just asking when you were born. When exactly were you born? What was your full name?
I was born the year they introduced the income tax into American history, 1913. That was a fact. But
And your birth name?
Mary Lorraine McKenzie.
Mary Lorraine McKenzie. Beautiful.
Was there a Lavinia? Or anything like that?
No,
No?
not that I
Okay.
know of.
Something about your birth record, but I'll ask Pat about it.
Oh,
Tell me about your father. Who was your father? Where was he from?
James McKenzie from Ballina in Ireland, and he had a twin, Uncle Anthony,
Mm-hmm.
and Uncle Anthony managed construction. He built houses, and Dad wasn't able to work on building. He had a what you call a debilitating thing.
Fear of heights?
No,
Or a bad back or something?
urban. Anyhow.
If it comes to you, you can say it right in the middle of something else.
All right. All right. But Uncle Anthony, did build many houses, mostly bungalows. And then he went into 2 and 3 flats. And he built Aunt Maggie McManus a 3-flat that was beautiful,
Nice.
near Devon and Western in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
So he did very well.
Mm-hmm.
But Dad couldn't work on the buildings because he had this hernia from birth
Oh.
and never had it corrected. I remember the doctor saying to me, it would be so simple. And he's demonstrating on paper and pencil what they would do. Just go under the skin. He said, don't have to go into vital things to correct a hernia.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, Dad didn't want to even hear about it.
Mm-hmm.
He feared surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And Mom had been one with a lot of medical history, so he wanted none of it for himself.
Okay.
Mom, do you know the address of the house he built on the north side?
Yes, was 6344 North Artesian.
Oh.
Just shortly from Devon, from Western and Devon,
Mm-hmm.
which was a very busy section of Chicago at the time.
Is that where you all lived?
No, that was later on in his life.
I see.
The twins, they had numerous children, of course, in those days in Ireland. And the twins were raised by an older brother who already had 6 of his own.
Wow.
But he took in 1 or more of Dad's family.
Oh.
But they were very open about it. It was very usual for people to pass children around, and an older brother would raise his brothers and sisters rather than his own children. Not rather than, I shouldn't say that, but as easily as he would raise his own.
Sure.
Yeah.
So did Uncle Anthony come first to the U.S. and then your dad follow, or do you remember hearing a story about that?
No, I don't.
Mm-hmm.
But Uncle Anthony was very good with figures, of course.
Uh-huh.
I still remember him doing, what would they say? They had some name for it when he'd make an estimate and give a figure for a certain house he could build. But Dad sold insurance.
Mm-hmm. Metropolitan Life, or was it
Yes.
a different company first?
Metropolitan Life.
Uh-huh.
That was
And-
after he sold Linens?
Yes. As a very young man from Ireland, he worked at State and Madison in Chicago in a store called the Boston Store.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And he sold fabrics,
Okay.
laces and things like that. Yeah. Yeah. And he enjoyed doing it. My brother, no, it was Fred, young Fred, my son, was, I remember we taught the children when they wanted to go to the bathroom, and you would be out with people, they would say, I need attention. So this day in a shop, and the woman said to the group of 3 or 4, do you wish attention? Miss Brokey said, what do you want to know for? Resented the intrusion into
His personal life.
yeah. I wish attention.
Tell me about your mother.
Well, she came from a poorer section than Dad. There were doctors in Dad's family,
Mm-hmm.
but mothers had a hard time. And her sister had come here, a younger sister, early on, and decided to become a nun after she was here.
Oh.
But she lasted in the convent until they asked her to scrub a stairway starting at the bottom. And she said, you
It
know,
wasn't as
that
much
was it.
fun.
That was it. That finished her off.
Who was that? Which of her sisters?
Well, Mother was the oldest in the family,
Okay.
and Aunt Mary must have been, well, Aunt Mary was my godmother, so she was probably 5-10 years younger than Mother.
So did she marry instead, quit the convent
She
and
did.
marry?
Well, after she went to the convent in Toronto, in Canada,
Oh.
and I remember they took me along when she was received in a ceremony, you know, into the convent. And I remember protesting. We had to listen to a lecture on economy. It was during the war, during World War I. When, well now the point of my story has escaped me.
You objected to the lecture.
Oh yes, the lecture was on being economical and everything. And so when we got into the bathroom facility for the washroom, I exclaimed in a very loud voice, somebody's been wasting toilet paper in here after listening to this lecture.
And that was in Canada?
I know that was, oh yes, it was.
Okay.
Toronto.
So they only took you, or did they take your older brothers too?
No, just me.
Oh,
I think they were taking one who
oh yeah.
might be in trouble with the others. I don't know. That's my guess.
What kind of house did you live in as a young girl? Where
Oh.
was it, if you can remember the address, but
Yeah.
what kind of house?
It was a bungalow
Mm-hmm.
at 7444 Lafayette. That was near State Street, which was, of course, the main street
Right.
through Chicago. And Lafayette was half block. west of State Street. And it was 7444, so we were near 75th Street.
Mm-hmm.
So we were far from the loop,
Right.
but a streetcar got you down there under
Mm-hmm. What was the parish?
St. Carthage.
Okay.
I have a picture of St. Carthage long after it was used as a church. But I don't remember many of the details about
Mm-hmm.
St. Carthage.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about your earliest religious experience or experiences. I know that you're very religious, and I just wonder how early did that begin?
I'm really not sure. I know Mother took me along with her to Toronto
Right.
when Aunt Mary was received in the order. But I really couldn't say. I don't remember that much. I think I was 3
When Mary was in the order?
yes, and we went up to Toronto
Yeah.
for a reception.
Right. It makes sense. I mean, that adds up, right? 1913 to
Mhm.
1917, you were 3.5 or something.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You've told a story about the nun. You must have been 8 or 9, or was it when you were in the classroom with Uncle Jim? And she wanted the kids to guess a number.
Oh, yes.
So tell it.
And it was a money raising thing. She'd have this little thing going on. She wanted to put together $5 to have a mass set. Now remember, it's denied up and down that you pay for masses, but in actual experience to a child, certainly. But how was it?
She something about you knew how she was thinking, which made her mad eventually. And was Uncle Jim in the classroom with you that year, or were you younger?
He was a year and a half younger. We were together 1 year.
Only that 1 year. Was it a different year? Because I thought I thought he wanted to know how you knew what she was thinking.
Yeah,
So what was the first? The first number was 33?
right.
Because?
It was going to be a number from 1 to 100.
Right.
And so I thought she might resent it coming from me. So I'll tell Jim. I said, guess 33. And so of course he won. Whatever it was, I don't know, it was a coin or something. So then she had another. And I said to him at the time, and if she has another one this afternoon, the answer will be 63. The age at which the Blessed Virgin died.
Ah.
So I said to her, if she does another one, the answer will be 63. He was totally made, and I said, well, now I have to think this over and put on a show. But anyhow, he and I always got along very well.
Was that 6th and 7th grade you were in the same
Yes,
year?
yes, it was.
But you were thinking like a religious, apparently. by 12.
Yes, yes.
Certainly well schooled,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Knowing the dates and the ages and.
Well, I certainly remember that Mother's sister had entered the convent.
Mm-hmm.
That brought us to Toronto.
Exactly. Now, what high school did you go to, and how? What was it a choice of high school, or was it sort of straight out of St. Carthage into a certain school?
No, it was a tragedy for me. They gave an exam for a scholarship,
Yeah.
and the tuition was $6 a month, I remember. And so Mother said to me, oh, I know, there was a brand new school that the Mercy nuns had built. And it was called Mercy High School. It was beautiful. It was white. And in the middle of a half block, it was all landscaped around it. And, oh, I was just dying to go there. But the scholarship was coming from Aquinas, another high school. And Mother said, oh, you wouldn't have to go if you went there, you could go to Mercy. I took the exam and won the scholarship. And right away she said, of course you're going to.
Oh no.
We can't afford to pay that much tuition. Oh, I was really disillusioned.
Yes, it sounds like a bait and switch. Like she was selling you. So you won that scholarship.
Scholarship, yes.
Congratulations.
No, the scholarship was to Aquinas.
Aquinas, okay.
How many kids do you suppose took that test? Was it everyone in your class? Or from several?
From
grade
different
schools?
high schools. I think we went over to someplace to take the exam.
Mm-hmm.
And Mother said ahead of time, well, take the exam. She said, Lorraine, you wouldn't have to take the thing. You could go to Mercy. Take it. And as soon as I won it, of course.
What number were you in the progression of siblings?
Second.
Second.
Well, no, third.
Okay.
Catherine was first, and then John. We had a brother,
Right.
and then I was next.
And was Catherine at Aquinas?
No, she went to Mercy.
Oh no.
Yes,
Now it
she was,
really was bait and switch.
right. She was already there when I was taking the exam for Aquinas.
And then who was behind you? Who was next and how many years?
Well, Jim came next, a year and a half
Year and a
younger
half.
than I was.
Okay. So she must have been looking ahead thinking, I'll be paying for two
Oh,
or
right.
three at a time.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Was
Oh, I
Aquinas only girls?
At that time, yes.
Okay.
Then they took boys in for a while, but they never had many.
Okay. How did they, I mean, it sounds like they didn't have to pay for your education, so this question is probably a toss away, but how did they pay for that tuition, that Catholic school tuition? Because they must have had to pay for St. Carthage. And
Well,
then the high
St.
school.
Carthage was $1 a month for a child. And I remember Mother would let the bill go up. And I remember one time it was $40.
Wow.
And the nun said, oh, we'll skip it, we'll just write it off. The nuns did that for big families.
Okay. Wow.
which
That was a different era. I remember sort of
Yeah.
hiding my face walking by the, the financial office
Oh,
when my parents were behind, because
Yeah.
they'd call you right in.
oh,
Well, you were still pretty young when the Great Depression happened, but since I skipped the World War I question and you've already mentioned World War I, I'll go ahead and ask the Great Depression question, and that is, were you aware of it? How did it affect your family?
oh, yes. Everyone was aware of the depression and the economy. Yes, we were all aware of it. But I remember Dad worked, and he was never unemployed.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't suffer, that bad. And I remember Mother inviting the Fodys. You remember Mr. and Mrs. Fody and their 7 children? And she invited them for Thanksgiving because they wouldn't have food.
Wow.
They certainly wouldn't have a turkey.
Yeah.
But Mother was that, and they weren't that close to us
Yeah.
socially, really. But she invited the family for Thanksgiving dinner. And then she gave them the turkey that was left to take home.
That's
I
really
remember
generous.
Mrs. Fod-
That's very generous.
Yeah. As they were on their way out, and Mrs. Fody is carrying the big bundle with the turkey, and she said, oh, I can't look these children in the eye as I go by with the turkey. Oh, that was Mother. Yeah,
The turkey was a big treat, wasn't it?
right.
Yeah, wasn't, you can buy $30 worth of groceries and get one for free, as we might have now. Spend $100, take your turkey home.
No, not then.
Did you have a good relationship with your mom, with Grandma B?
Well, people used to say, B, she's a spitting image of you. And we were a lot alike, not only in looks, but in personality.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone else in the family had light hair and some degree of curl in it,
Uh-huh.
but mine was straight black, just like hers.
Okay.
And I remember her calling me that dark cloud.
Oh no.
Yeah. I was outside and she said to a brother or sister, go out and tell that dark cloud, come in here.
Was that something about your personality, or was it that your hair was dark?
Well, we clashed personality-wise because I was just like her.
Yeah.
And all the others had light-colored hair of
Yeah.
some degree of curl. But mother wasn't.
Tell the story of her brothers coming from Ireland when you were 3.
I don't
Grandma B's
You were
brothers.
know.
misbehaving.
You better
and
tell it.
Grandma said, if you don't do what I tell you to do, Lorraine,
Oh, I'll burn the hand off you. And
the
I
hot
thought,
poker.
yeah, with a hot poker
Wow.
that she put in the fire. And I thought, oh, well, I'd have another hand left. I believed her.
But then, when she left the room, her brothers had a comment, who had come from Ireland.
No.
Well, B. Loftus has met her match, was what
Oh.
you told me.
Yeah, I thought I'll see her to the end because I'll have one hand left.
So you were strong-willed,
Yes, indeed. Yeah,
and she was.
yes. And the others all seem to take after the Mackenzies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Sis and Dorothy and
Mm-hmm.
so on. But Dorothy was younger than, I think she was 5 years younger than I was, and Jim was in between, and he and I used to torment Dorothy. It really was
Oh.
a terrible thing. And all he and I would have to do was look at each other. She would interpret our look as reflecting on him, and so she yelled for Grandma, Mother, they're looking at me.
Was she Grandma B's favorite or anything?
Was she?
Was Dorothy Grandma B's
Oh,
favorite?
no. Anything but.
Oh,
Dorothy, and Jim and I used to tease Dorothy.
Right.
And I remember when she got married so young, I felt very guilty. I thought, the reason she's getting married is to get out of this house
Wow.
and away from Jim and me, because we gave her a hard time.
Aunt Rose had a comment too. She
I-
said she didn't want to become a teenager. She didn't want to become older.
Oh, right.
Because she was afraid of that kind of treatment.
Yeah,
Exactly.
she developed this skin problem. And I remember Mother sitting up during the night playing cards with her to divert her mind
Mm-hmm.
from the thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, but Jim and I gave Dorothy a hard time.
Mm.
I could feel guilty about that, believe me.
Oh, I think she forgave you, Mom.
She sure did.
Uh,
She only ever spoke adoringly of you. And
Oh.
how generous,
oh,
how much you had done for her in her life.
oh, later on, yeah, when we're adults.
Sure, right.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about college. I know I've kind of totally skipped your high school experience, but did you get a scholarship to college as well?
Well, it was a sort of a scholarship, but it really wasn't one. But I remember one of the faculty putting up a thing for me to have free tuition. Now, I think that was 1 year,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't remember exactly how it was, but
Mom, you've said before that Grandma and Grandpa had sent Aunt Sis to secretarial school
yes,
for a year. So
1
did they
year.
agree to send you to DePaul for 1 year?
right.
And then?
As soon as I got there, they on the 13th floor they had the secretarial school and were all these girls. And on the 14th floor was the School of Commerce, and it was all boys practically. So I thought, oh, first thing I have to do was take the course up there. And once I got there, then I got on the debating team. And I remember debating, going to have a debate at Carleton College.
Oh, wow.
And yeah,
In Minnesota? In Minnesota?
yeah,
Wow.
I think so.
Huh.
But it took care of tuition in some cases.
Yeah.
But they never gave me a straight scholarship.
Okay. So that was DePaul University?
Yes,
What
yes.
did you study?
Commerce.
You did commerce, okay.
The secretarial school was on the 13th floor, and on the 14th was commerce.
And is that where you met Uncle Fred?
No, I met Fred when we were both teaching, and he was teaching at Lane Tech on the north side, and I was teaching at Calumet High School on the south side.
What were you teaching?
Shorthand and typing,
Okay.
and he was teaching foundry.
Okay.
So we weren't into the intellectual side of life. We were hitting the books and making it that way.
We both knew there had to be food on the table to feed that intellect.
Right, right.
Did you meet at a teacher meeting or where exactly did you meet?
I remember it coming up and asking me to dance.
Uh-huh.
And it was a mixed group, you know. And as we go off on the floor to dance, I thought, could this be the man I'll marry?
Wow.
Because he was good looking and light hair. He wasn't much of a dancer. But I could see the possibilities right away.
He was tall.
Yes.
Yeah, and must have been very handsome.
Well, he was good looking, yeah.
Yeah. Had you dated others?
Yes, yes. At DePaul there were lots of opportunities because in commerce there were very few girls.
Uh-huh.
And they gave scholarships to encourage women to come.
I see.
Yeah.
I see. So you already answered my next question, which was when did you know that Uncle Fred was the one? And it sounds like you knew right away.
I think I did. I think I did.
Well, how old were you when
And
you
especially-
met? When you met Dad?
Well, we were both teaching.
So you think you were 25? You date a couple of years?
Well, at least two.
Mm-hmm.
He was in no hurry to propose.
Well, you sent him away too, I think I've heard tell. Over a string of pearls, I believe. No?
I don't remember.
Maybe
that.
I made it up then. You
Oh.
thought I thought he had given you a string of pearls and you thought he had been hoodwinked,
Right.
being kind of a hick.
Yeah, they were. Well,
They
they
were
were
false.
fake pearls.
Yeah.
you
Well,
know.
they were.
Yeah.
Oh, I was shameless.
Hardly Mom.
We even know you can't believe that.
Well, you wanted the genuine article. We know
Right,
that.
right.
So, Mom, tell about the fellow that met Uncle Bill 25 years later and said he never would forget you as long as he lived.
Right.
Not so romantic, but more pragmatic.
We were having this exam, and I know I did all my accounting homework, and so I was prepared for the exam, but the class as a whole, it was a 2-hour exam. And I remember when 1 hour was over, you could tell from the looks going back and forth that these boys were not getting that exam. And the accounting is such that, you know, just giving them the net profit is not going to help much. You have to know how to do this worksheet that had like 6 or 12 columns wide and long, and then down here, everything had the total had a balance with the
Sure.
Yeah.
So you either had it right or you had it wrong.
Right.
Isn't that correct?
And
So-
so
And you had been alone the night of the Christmas dance, I believe?
I remember thinking, oh yeah, they need help now. But when the dances were on at the holidays, I had certainly not many invitations. And there were so few girls and so many boys that, but anyhow,
Well, can I add a little? Or-
Sure.
A fellow ran into Uncle Bill at some affair 25 years later.
yeah, Bill was working for the Chicago Motor Club,
Oh,
and this
so it
guy
wasn't
was a
that long.
lawyer
Oh,
by this time.
and the children were seated, or the students were seated alphabetically in the classroom.
Yeah,
So here Lorraine Mackenzie was in the middle,
yeah,
and this fellow was Wysocki or something, wasn't he? He was obviously
yeah.
as
the
far
bad-
from you as he could be. So you put together, after Uncle Bill said, this young man, not so young anymore, man said, I'll never forget her as long as I live. You figured out what happened
Yeah,
because you decided to help someone.
yeah, I helped the one next to me because we were seated alphabetically, and he was in the last row.
The fellow that Uncle Bill met.
Yeah, but when I decided to help, I recopied the whole exam, and then I folded up, and this was a big sheet, but it was soft paper, and you could double it
Uh-huh.
over and over, and I passed it to someone, and
In
so,
your shoe, right? I think you can tell
Yeah.
the story better, Mom.
right, we were at long tables, and we were every other one like that. And I remember when I had the exam done and I recopied it and folded up the copy I was going to give up. I folded it till it was just a wad and put it in my shoe.
And this young man had been beseeching you incessantly,
My
saying,
old man's going to pull me out of. He says if I don't pass accounting, I'm out. And so I did recopy the whole exam and then fold it up till it was a wad, put it in the